Hello, good morning. Welcome to Joy News Desk. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. This morning, International Monetary Fund identifies scrapping of tax exemptions, adjustment of levies on fuel, and increasing of income tax as measures government could implement to boost revenue mobilization under its $3 billion support program. Also this morning, NDC declares readiness for Asin North elections as Supreme Court rules that Parliament expunges James Achekweson's name from its record. And activates sanitation bylaws to arrest stray animals as the means of generating revenue. Minister for Sanitation Cecilia Dapa urges local assemblies more as she tours the Accra metropolis to ensure that there's enforcement of sanitation bylaws. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're coming to you also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is at Denana Aisha. Please stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us this morning. The IMF has identified scrapping of tax exemptions, adjustments of levies on fuel, and increasing of income tax as measures government could implement to boost revenue mobilization under its $3 billion support program. This is contained in its May 2023 country report on Ghana's request for the $3 billion support program. Managing Director of the fund, Kristalina Georgieva, says the program for Ghana is only the first step towards restoring economic stability.
Congratulations to Ghana for a strong program of reforms to revitalize growth and reduce the country's debt burden. I'm very pleased that the IMF Executive Board has approved today a 3-year, $3 billion support for this program. We are proud to be partners with Ghana in addressing the difficult economic and financial conditions the country is facing. Today's decision is also a major milestone for the G20 Common Framework. The commitment by the Official Creditors Committee to help make Ghana's debt sustainable was essential for the approval of the fund's program, and it signals important progress in the G20 Common Framework. The decision our board has taken is the beginning of the work we will do together with the authorities of Ghana for the implementation of the program for the benefit of the people of Ghana.
My colleague Joseph Akable joins me with more on this. Joseph, what is informing the IMF's call for some changes to the nation's tax regime?
So the IMF makes the point that there's domestic revenue mobilization challenges. In fact, it identifies as a major challenge that government must resolve. So its Fiscal Affairs Department actually carried out a tax diagnostic mission to Ghana, and they've identified the following potential measures that government can implement. One is removing VAT exemptions, which are estimated to be at close to 2% of GDP, reforming CIT by phasing out tax holidays and exemptions, and strengthening safeguards against profit shifting. They are also asking for a reduction in customs exemptions, increasing progressivity in personal income taxes, and automatically adjusting pure levies by exchange rate movement or inflation. We know that another thing that industry has been talking about over the period also has to do with expenditure cuts. The IMF in this report says primary expenditure would be reduced by 2 percentage points of GDP, mainly by one, lowering capital expenditures through project reprioritization and providing around 0.9% of GDP of savings, and two, containing the wage bill by limiting wage increases and hiring. Rationalization goods and services spending also is also identified here. So these measures are to be supported by steps to strengthen expenditure commitment controls of both MDAs and statutory funds to protect the most vulnerable from the impact of these measures. It expects the authorities to strengthen key targeted social programs And one of those identified programs is the LEAP, which we know is being implemented as well.
Let's also bring in the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi, who will be talking to us more about the first tranche. So, Prof, grateful for your time. What's your impression about the first tranche of $600 million that will be hitting our accounts very soon, but also with more conditionalities for us to meet before we get the other tranches? Hello, Prof. Hello, Prof.
Hello.
Prof, I'm asking for your impression about Ghana getting the first tranche, which is $600 million, which will be hitting our accounts very soon, but also some advice or conditionalities from the IMF before we can get the next tranches in place.
Yes, I think that is a good news because when this money hits our account, it has an effect on our balance of payment position, and it also has effect on our currency. So that is good news. But for the subsequent tranches, we have to meet what we call our benchmark before the amount will be released. And that is where the main issue is. That calls for commitment from the part of the government in ensuring that they keep to fiscal prudence and ensure that the right thing is done so that from time to time, every 6 months, we can meet the target, and during the review, we can pass and get the next tranche and move on with our agenda.
So this is the advice that the IMF is giving to Ghana so that they'll be able to work hard to get the next tranches that we're talking about. It's talking about the taking away of tax exemptions and also asking for more tight measures in our tax regime to be able to deal with, to be able to cross to the next tranche. How does this advice come across to you? Hello, Prof.
Well, we are already aware that, yes, I can hear you. Can I continue?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we are already aware that more fiscal measures will be put in place in the coming months or in the coming years to consolidate the quest to expand the revenue net and then have sufficient revenue. But tax exemption will have to be looked at very carefully. We shouldn't be granting tax exemption to businesses, especially international foreign direct investment into the country, where we leave the domestic direct investment. We should create jobs for our people. So it is in the right direction, but we shouldn't forget that tax exemption also has its positive parts to do with reforms of an economy.
Adjustment of levies on fuel and also increasing income tax. I mean, is this something that Ghanaians can endure?
This will be a very difficult and turbulent moment for Ghana. Ghanaians ordinarily cannot go through all this pack of difficulties. People will be complaining. There will be widespread hardship. But the idea is that we need to pay economic prices for services delivered from the power sector, utility sector, and across the portfolio of services provided by government institutions. That is the idea. These are the things that we are not able to do ourselves. So when you enter into the program, you will be forced to do it. And the incident of the burden will always fall on the citizens and the consumers. So that is why I say we should expect deeper pain for this IMF program that we have now signed on to.
Okay, so we the citizenry should expect that there's going to be this pain, so we should brace ourselves for it. What are expectations of government as it takes the first tranche of $600 million?
Well, the expectation is what Honorable Amin has indicated, that this will help them go back to the capital market, and that is an unfortunate statement. This is the time that we need to repair the economy. This is the time that we need to ensure that fiscal indicators are brought to normal, and that when those things are done, we will gradually be gravitating towards entering into the international capital market. But we shouldn't use entry into the international market as the reason for which we went to the IMF.
I'm grateful for your time. Professor John Gache is the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. Now, let's go to Parliament, because the House is expected to declare the seat of Asin North vacant after the Supreme Court declared it as null and void the election and swearing in of James Jachikwason and it questions as a member of Parliament. The court, presided over by Justice Jones Oche, also ruled that the Electoral Commission acted unconstitutionally when it allowed Mr. Kwason to contest the polls without seeing evidence that he had renounced his Canadian citizenship. The opposition in DC, however, holds the view that the matter is far from over. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Akable was in court and now reports.
Eligibility as a member of parliament has been in contention since he won the 2020 December parliamentary elections. The matter has gone to the High Court, the Court of Appeal. There's an aspect of it that is also at the High Court in terms of a criminal matter. But some finality has been brought to it, as the Supreme Court has by unanimous decision ruled that he was not eligible to contest the 2020 polls. The court, presided over by Justice Jones Oche, also held that the Electoral Commission acted unconstitutionally when it allowed him to contest the parliamentary polls without proof of renunciation of his Canadian citizenship. The court then issued an order asking Parliament to expunge James Jachikwason's name from its records as a member of Parliament. And so this is the decision of the Supreme Court, and lawyers for Michael Ankuman Infant, led by Frank Davis, are excited by this decision.
We have to protect the sanctity of the Constitution, and we are gratified that the law lords, all the 7 of them, have agreed unanimously with the position we have held all along, that at all times material, James Jachikwason was not qualified under the dictates of the Constitution of the Republic to have contested as a member of Parliament for the Asin North constituency. It's been a long road. You can all attest to the number of times we have paraded the court premises. But today, finally, the judgment has been handed, and we have a clear indication as to what the provision on dual citizenship is in respect of a contest for member of Parliament.
I mean, what do you expect to happen practically going forward? The court interestingly gave an order that his name should be expunged from the records of Parliament.
Of course, but that is a necessary consequence of the reliefs that we sought in the Supreme Court. If he wasn't qualified to have contested as a member of Parliament, of course, the necessary inference is that whatever happened was null and void and of no legal effect whatsoever. So Parliament cannot still keep his name on their books. It's a necessary consequence, but of course the order has to be drawn and served on the Speaker, and his name will have to be expunged. That is the constitutional injunction on the EC. So my client is not looking forward to anything. The EC will have to comply. Insofar as that seat now remains vacant, the EC has to conduct elections in that constituency. So it is not for my client to be looking forward to. It is for the EC to comply with the orders of the Supreme Court. And the constitutional injunction is that if a seat is vacant, you organize fresh elections.
And so the lawyers expect the orders of the court to be drawn up and served on Parliament, and that the Speaker will declare the seat vacant, after which they expect the Electoral Commission to proceed to organize primaries. For Joy News from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
Well, the Supreme Court ruling has generated a sharp divide between the two parties. Speaking on the AM show, Director of Legal Affairs of the NPP, Gary Nimako, said the argument of his renunciation is untenable, but member of legal team of the NDC, Eduji Tamaklo, disagrees with that.
Somebody who you are in the country and they realize that you are a person who can be of extra charges, they will refuse it. If you put an application, you don't put the required fees, it will be refused. The required documents, it will be refused. If you put an application, you have to go for it.
Collins's father is Scottish or Irish. So USA is from the United Kingdom. And so by reason of this, Rollins needed to show a certificate of renunciation.
Well, the deposed MP for Senor James Achequation says he is disappointed in the decision of the Supreme Court to get his records expunged as a member of Parliament. A statement issued a while ago reads, and it's just coming on your screens this morning, the Supreme Court by unanimous decision ordered Parliament to expunge my name from its record as MP. The court ruled that the EC acted unconstitutionally in allowing me to contest the 2020 parliamentary elections without proof that I had denounced my Canadian citizenship at the time I filed my nominations in October 2020 and to contest the seat as Asin North constituency MP. In fact, the EC inspected my renunciation certificate in November prior to allow me to contest the elections. Thus, I was duly qualified to run according to the EC's regulations, which the law presumes to be regular. Yet the court holds that I should have offered this proof to EC at the time of filing my nomination and then applied the holding retrospectively to disqualify me. It's a matter of public record that I filed for renunciation of my Canadian citizenship in December 2019. It's also a matter of record that I left Canada in February 2020. It is also a matter of record that as soon as I applied for renunciation of my citizenship in Canada, I left Canada. I lost all the rights of Canadian citizenship. It is also a matter of record that I picked up my renunciation certificate from Canadian Embassy in Accra in November 2020. And it's also a matter of public record that the Canadian law does not say I owe allegiance to Canada, even after filing for renunciation. In fact, Canadian law is unequivocal that allowing your allegiance is subjective and can be done at any time, including immediately after swearing the oath of citizenship. And under Canadian law, I owed no allegiance to Canada at all material times. I am, of course, disappointed by the court's decision, and I'm especially surprised the court now says that foreign bureaucrats now determine whether natural-born Ghanaians have the right to contest for parliamentary elections in Ghana or not. That a country that does not allow renunciation of its citizenship can bar a naturally born Ghanaian who has severed all relations with a country of acquired citizenship from ever standing for MP. Nevertheless, I have turned the page on litigating this matter in the Court of Justice. I leave the matter to the Court of Conscience, which Candy reminds us supersedes all other courts. Helping to develop my constituency has always been and remains my priority. I assure my constituents that nothing has changed. I will work even harder than before to win their support and to attain these goals. Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament has issued a statement on this development, and I'm sharing extract of that statement with you just shortly. The Minority Caucus has been aware of the Supreme Court's decision invalidating the nomination and election on subsequent swearing in of James Jachikwason, MP for Asin North, as being unconstitutional and of no legal effect, and subsequently directing Parliament to expunge his name from its records. It is important to place on record that as at the time of his election, James Jachikwason was not a dual citizen, neither was he a dual citizen as at the time he took the oath of office as MP. The intention of the framers of the Constitution is not to allow a dual citizen to perform the functions of MP. It is therefore baffling that the Supreme Court could direct the removal of from Parliament such a person who has been duly elected as MP. While we are yet to study the reasoning of the court in making its decision, it appears to be a slap in the face of our democracy and the rule of law. We shall inform the public of our position upon reviewing the reasoning of the court in arriving at this decision. We urge our rank and file to be calm while we pursue all legal avenues to ensure that justice is served. A parliamentary aspirant, John Adano, has questioned a decision by the National Executive Committee of the NDC to declare Edem Agbana the legitimate winner of the Ketu North parliamentary primary. He didn't understand why the council identified 3 unstamped ballots as valid on the premise that they had corresponding serial numbers. Addressing the press, Mr. Adano entreated the party hierarchy to take a critical look at the NDC's constitution and guidelines for internal elections. After 3 rounds of counting, both aspirants polled 358 votes after the Electoral Commission official identified 3 unstamped ballots, 2 in favor of Edem Agbana and 1 in favor of John Adano. However, Mr. Agbana earlier insisted he had won the primary with 360 votes against his opponent's 359 votes.
The key point in this determination is that the serial numbers on the ballots in question are from the booklet used in the constituency election. And since there is no overvoting, these ballots cannot be said to be foreign materials. This means, as far as our internal elections are concerned, stamping of ballot papers are irrelevant, given no overvoting and the correspondence of serial numbers to the booklet. If these ballots were removed during sorting, will we be here? Or the fact that they were taken out after recount and not even after EC declaration make them valid? Can our members accept this if it occurs to us in the national elections? This really worries me. This concern notwithstanding, I remain positive about the course of the party for victory 2024. My prayer is that this does not come to haunt us in the future, and I pray that one day this precedent will be corrected, no matter how long it takes. Before that future comes, I will make myself available to contribute to such an effort. Meanwhile, I wish to appeal to the leadership of the party to look at our constitution and future guidelines for elections. The common man or woman in NDC must feel relevant irrespective of their position and affiliation to the party. To my team and supporters, I understand your disappointment and the temptation to express this in ways that may affect the unity of the party.
Still on the NDC, some delegates of the party in Asawase constituency have confessed to receiving money from candidates in exchange for votes in the party's just ended parliamentary primary. They claim both incumbent MP Muntaka Mubarak and his contender Masawudu Mubarak are guilty of vote buying. Though the electoral laws frown on the practice, delegates were excited upon receipt of the amount they term as transport allowance. Nanaya Ojima has more.
In a video that has gone viral on social media, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak admits to paying an amount of 100 cedis as transportation to delegates in previous primaries. He boasts the amount is the least paid in primaries, comparing it to that done by colleagues.
You hear people giving television, divisors, $1,000, what and what. Find out from the people of Ashanti. Our slogan is Bakudiba Nesoyeyane. It is love. It is not money. The highest I've ever given the delegate in my constituency. You can call and find out. It's 100 cities, and that was even the last one. Is that the last one? 100 cities estimated the cost of transport, the lunch, and probably dinner. Even that, I was insisting I was going to give them 50 because it is not about paying people money.
About 1,886 delegates were on the register for the Aswanse primary. Many delegates who were participating in such an election for the first time were excited, arriving early at the election venue. Some arrived in groups, buzzed to the location by their preferred candidates. It was being speculated the supporters buzzed to the ground by incumbent MP Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak received some cash in these buses. This was vehemently disputed by the MP, who rather accused his opponent of vote buying.
Promises that you cannot even imagine, just like Nanado is saying, can you imagine a parliamentary candidate telling people that he will take 206 of them in 4 years to abroad? And people want to believe that. I mean, somebody who just says anything, he himself is not credible, he's not even finished school, he has never done any work. All of a sudden, he has money and he's distributing, and I think the people of Aswanse do not know the value of what I have done for them over the 2 decades that I have served them. I know by the grace of God, they will surely reward me by this event.
You just mentioned that he's going around paying money to the delegates to vote for him. There's also information that you are doing same. How true is that?
Since morning, I'm stepping out of my house for the first time. So if everybody is telling somebody is paying money, try and find out who is paying money. Thank you very much.
Nonetheless, delegates who were excited at the contest witnessed at Asawase confessed to receiving what they call motivation in the form of cash from candidates.
That envelope does not mean say envelope for the baby. Maybe you different. I am a businessman.
Yes, election motivation is different.
Our motivation is different. In every election, every season, every year, it's a difference. And a difference so as I have been. And I am asking.
Envelope free candidate.
Envelope every candidate to be every candidate.
Different.
I am asking. And ambassador.
And manya delegating so far so Accra.
Obetimi atudin se ne aba botum amount aba botum.
Mo adu kakra.
Mo adu be sen.
Mo adu mama jibo side na.
Yes, about 1,500 now.
1,500 there. Menya.
Wenya?
Ah, menya.
No, I say go quiet here and ya.
Me so me koko mreni, but me koko ni nyina echi no. Me mama ni ada ho. Ababro sokra, just okay.
So pay 100 mommy.
Me who say.
What you bet 1,500 them go.
Oh yeah, vampire.
But
cause say ya okay because I'm a delegates one there. I feel delegates one there kakra.
Ye delegate for afeni yenso yenya BBC ye wo mu no ye hunu de ye de e be say ade alhamdulillah.
This primary in Asawase constituency will go down as one of the most exciting as delegates thank their stars for the financial gains. Article 33 of the Representation of the People Law deems sharing of money to induce voters as bribery, which is an offense. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Politics, let's talk about sanitation because Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources Cecilia Abnadapa is urging the various district, municipal and metropolitan assembly across the country to enforce the sanitation bylaws which will arrest and seize stray animals on the streets. According to her, proceeds from such arrests can be used to develop and support government projects. The minister made the call during a familiarization tour of the Greater Accra region. More in this report.
The Sanitation Minister, Cecilia Abinadapa, revealed that Amasaman Municipal Assembly has implemented its sanitation bylaws in the arrest and sale of stray animals, which has contributed to a rise in their revenue mobilization. Hence, any assembly that does same will have her full support.
We have sanitation courts, and I will encourage all the assemblies to take advantage of it and apply the bylaws and prosecute. We support them 110%. When you let your cows stray, they should seize the cows, arrest the cows, maybe if I should use that word, sell the cows and use the money to help with projects in the assemblies.
Do we have a fair idea as to maybe the number of people that have been prosecuted?
I don't have. We have to collate from the assemblies. But this cow, goat, sheep thing, Amasaman has the biggest record. Clement, my son. He records all those things. He arrests the goats, whatever, and he sells. And uses the money for projects within the assemblies. And I will encourage Madam to do the same.
Responding to questions on President Akufo-Addo's promise of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa before the end of his tenure in office, Madam Cecilia Abinadapa said government is still on course.
We should be on course. You see, you start from step one. I'm sure you are interested in that. We'll always call on our head of state that he made a good call. And we are all part of the solution to the good call. I, as the minister in charge of sanitation and water resources, I'm happy that what we used to see as heaps in the town, it's no more. You've been with us from Medina to, no. People are advised to make sure they have bins. We have already distributed 8,100 bins to institutions, to markets, along highways, and we are going to continue. They have gone through wear and tear. We've taken stock. We know what is in and what is out. We need to go back and restock with the assemblies. So we are working together collaboratively, and I'm happy. What I see in town, I used to think that people stand on the roads. Yes, we've also collaborated with Roads Ministry to make sure those sands are collected.
The tour of the minister took the team to Old Fadama, where garbage were heaped by the Odo River, exposing residents to environmental dangers and floods. Assembly member for Old Fadama, Musa Ziad, says until the primary problem of providing refuse disposal equipment is addressed, it will be difficult to prevent residents from dumping refuse into the Odo River.
The major challenges we are facing as a community is that every community is supposed to have a service provider, a waste service provider, who is supposed to come around either on allocated days or every day to pick refuse that are done in the community. Unfortunately, Old Fadama is exceptional. We don't have a service provider, and once the people make waste and you don't provide them with the alternative, they have no option than to dump at places that you won't want them to dump. So what you are seeing here is a decades-old problem, and until we find the primary solution to it, by giving them a service provider, by making sure that their waste is adequately collected, we'll continue to have some of these problems, and there will be flooding, and when there's flooding, it's going to affect everybody.
Meanwhile, the Sanitation Ministry says it is collaborating with other government institutions to ensure that the Odo River is not choked by refuse, leading to a flood as witnessed in the past. Reporting for Joy News, Samuel Mbura, Accra.
Well, I've been joined in the studio by the West Municipal Chief Executive Clement Wilkinson. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Wilkinson. What's the response that you have for the minister for this directive?
Thank you. Good morning to our listeners. I think the minister have said it all. In our bylaws, those laws are there. Just that we don't try to visit those little laws in our bylaws. So the minister have said it all because we cannot allow strange animals going around to the town. When you are driving, you come across all those animals. But I've taken upon myself since I came to office. And every 3 months, I try my best to do an option of that because when we arrest the animals and the owners are not coming for it, we can't keep them because, unfortunate for us, we don't have sales for them and we have to dispose them. So I agree with him totally. I agree with her, sorry. Yeah.
But what has been the challenge all this while in enforcing the bylaws?
I don't think there's a challenge. I mean, it's a book that has been printed out and the issues are there. You just have to read it out and implement them. There's no challenge, but just that maybe, in Ghana, we have this attitude of, forgive him or her. And when something happens, we easily forget about the law and we try to do it in human face. Oh, this is my friend's mother. This is my friend's father. This is my brother. This is my... And those things are not helping the country because if we keep on doing that, it means that we are not using the law. But the law was done to sanitize our issues that it will create a problem for us. So I don't see the reason why we should face a problem with the bylaws. The bylaws are there. We just have to read it and implement it.
In the minister's statement, she indicated that you could use this to generate revenue. And I'm asking, is this capable of generating the kind of revenue that you need for the assemblies?
Yes, it's part of the IGF that we correct. Even if it's 1%, it has been added, so you get your 99 or your 100%. Because when you do the option of the strained animals, it means that you keep the money at the municipal assembly. At least it can do something a little for the assembly. So it's part of IGF, which can help us to, achieve our budget for the year.
Grateful for your time. Clement Wilkinson is MCE for Ghana West. Well, let's stick with health issues because the Minister of Health, Kwagyeman Menu, says he's satisfied with the quality of work done by contractors on the Setra Front Plains District Hospital, which is nearing completion. It follows the installation of some medical equipment, painting of structures, among other works, on the 120-bed capacity facility. Project contractors NMS Infrastructure Limited have had to double efforts to complete and hand over the hospital in August this year. Ohementeri of our health desk has more.
Completion of the Setra Front Plains District Hospital, which started in 2014, has delayed following variations which altered construction schedules. The turnkey project by NMS Infrastructure Limited involves the design, construction and equipping of the new hospital. During a visit to the project site this week, Health Minister Kwagyeman Menu is happy at the quality of work done at the facility. The contractors are installing medical equipment at the male and female wards, as they also fix doors, work on landscaping, and also improve road networks at the facility. A 36 housing unit for nurses and doctors have already been completed. David Moore is senior site manager.
Medical equipment is mainly in the country, so we haven't got too much to worry about that. As I said before, there's vinyl still to come, which is the end of the month, and the rest of the doors at the end of the month. So, we're looking at, we've got 2 weeks left here, 4 weeks in June, so that's 6 weeks. We're working long hours. And 7 days a week virtually. So it's like, if you double that up, it's like having 3 months. So we're looking to see if we can get A block and the wards all finished by June kind of thing. But, depending on the availability of the materials, it could slip into middle of July, this, that, and the other kind of thing, But, our aim is not to go past the end of July.
At the Adansi North District Hospital at Formina, construction work is completed. A test run of equipment at the hospital will begin next month by NMS Infrastructure. According to Mr. Moore, this will be followed by training for staff to precede the official handing over.
It's all finished. We've done the testing and commissioning from our side. We've invited now the the MOH to do their testing commission, and also for them to whatever machines they want, we're ready, when they are. So I believe it's been scheduled by them, but roughly I think the middle of next month. So we'll start training.
Healthcare delivery is expected to improve in the Ashanti region when the Formina and Kumawu district hospitals, as well as the 250-bed capacity Ashanti Regional Hospital Asewua and the 500-bed military hospital Atafari are operationalized. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oimeteria reporting.
The Commission is hinting at a possible reconstruction of some boundary pillars which played a crucial role in the 2017 ITLOS ruling but are currently buried in the beach sand of the western region at the opening ceremony of a joint technical meeting in Côte d'Ivoire. National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotier, said the construction of a lighthouse in the previously disputed area with Côte d'Ivoire will also help align the common land boundary terminus. Maxwell Agbagba has more from Côte d'Ivoire.
The main objective of the meeting in Grand Bassam, Côte d'Ivoire, is to continue discussions on the process of reaffirming the land boundary between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire by replacing damaged boundary pillars. It is also for the implementation of the 2017 ruling by the International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea, ITLOS. ITLOS in Hamburg, Germany in 2017 ruled in favor of Ghana in the maritime dispute with Côte d'Ivoire. The chamber, in a unanimous decision, ruled that there has not been any violation on the part of Ghana on Côte d'Ivoire's maritime boundary. It also noted that Ghana has not violated Côte d'Ivoire's sovereign rights with its oil exploration in the disputed basin. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the meeting, National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotier, urged the two commissions to consider the construction of a lighthouse in the area to align with the land boundary terminus, which serves as a guide for Ghana's maritime boundary.
Another priority is to adopt and possibly coordinate the reaffirmation of the land boundary terminus. That's pillar 54, 55 on the Ghana side at Newtown. One thing we have realized is that the pillars, some of the pillars have been submerged by the sand. And let's remember that it is a land boundary terminus in that area that was used by ITLOS ruling, and that is where the guiding, that is what guides us so far as our maritime boundary is concerned. We're hoping that this meeting will be able to set up a date as part of the plan of action to be able to go for an inspection of those pillars and decide on possible reconstruction of those pillars. Related to that, we should also be thinking of building a lighthouse in that area. That would serve, if we can jointly seek for funding, we put a lighthouse there that will align with the land boundary terminus. That will serve as a direction for ships and other activities so far as the maritime domain is concerned.
Major General Emmanuel Kotier also warns the two boundary commissions to expedite work on the replacement of damaged pillars along the international boundary line between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire in the Dollar Power area.
I will re-emphasize on some of the priority areas that we need to look at so far as the Ghanaian perspective is concerned. We think that as a matter of urgency, the two commissions should think of reaffirming the boundary area in Dollar Power as soon as possible in view of the situations both sides have identified. And that should be one of the areas that we should be able to resolve as part of our land boundary reaffirmation. We are also saying that because of the good relationship that we have with Côte d'Ivoire and because of the ruling of the ITLOS, we think that somewhere in November this year, the two commissions should facilitate a joint inspection of the international maritime boundary line between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, with the deep involvement of the navies of both Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana. Ghana has been able to successfully do an inspection on our side, and I can tell you confidently that there were no violations of breaches found so far as that inspection was concerned. There is, however, the need for us to collaborate so that we can do this jointly going forward as part of the African Union cross-border cooperation. That would enhance the cooperation, that it will enhance the unity, and that will enhance the tenets so far as the boundary commissions of the two countries are concerned.
Executive Secretary of the Boundary Commission of Cote d'Ivoire, Diakalidia Konate, says he's excited about the progress of work by the two countries. He's hopeful the meeting in Grand Bassam will produce positive results that will further deepen the cooperation between the two boundary commissions.
Let's take a break on Joy News Desk. When we return, this business.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. The Indian High Commissioner to Ghana, Sugana Rajaram, says his country will partner Ghana to support the pharmaceutical industry through emerging technologies. According to him, the industry needs policies that will drive growth. Speaking at the West Africa Pharma and Healthcare exhibition, he called for capacity building for players in the pharmaceutical industry. Here's more.
The Indian High Commissioner at the exhibition called for support for small and medium enterprises in the pharmaceutical industry. He stressed on the need for government to implement policies to cushion the industry.
There is continued expansion of this very important sector of the Ghanaian economy, which is giving way for new opportunities for the stakeholders from different countries. For the bilateral economic relations between India and Ghana, pharma and healthcare is one of the very important and major sectors. This has been one of the areas where we have focused our attention in all spheres, on the policy side, at the level of businesses, at the level of capacity building, to see that the huge synergies that we have between India and Ghana in pharma and healthcare.
Deputy Minister for Health, Mahama Saini, pledged government support for the sector.
Over the years, Ghana's health sector has been rapidly evolving from large-scale investment made in infrastructure like the expansion and building of district and regional hospitals, as well as polytechnics, to bring services closer to the people. We have also launched several initiatives to widen access to healthcare since its inception, like the subsidized National Health Insurance Scheme, National Health Insurance Scheme, with the objective of attaining universal health coverage and to provide financial access to quality healthcare for residents in Ghana.
The 3-day West African Pharma Healthcare exhibition is expecting over 120 exhibitors and over 100 hosted buyers, partners from the sector.
Now, youth unemployment is seen as a major threat to Ghana's development. Now, despite the several policies and programs implemented by governments, the challenge remains the same. However, savings and loans company Sinapia is bent on changing the narrative with the launch of the Youth Apprenticeship Program. The company has supported over 4,000 vulnerable and disadvantaged persons to be self-employed by paying for their training and giving them the needed tools to work. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from WOW where 150 benefited from the Youth Apprenticeship Program.
Yeah, Upper West currently we are looking at about 150, which the females are the majority. We invited them, we did a selection, and some of them are interested in going for tailoring. Some of them are interested in doing hairdressing. Some of them are interested in weaving. Some of them are also interested in tiling. So what we do is that we pair them with masters, people who are ready to train them. We pair them and we make sure we monitor the progress of work they do over there. And at the end of the day, they will write an exam that is nationwide. When you pass successfully, then that is where we also hand over to you additional tools to go out there and work. So we just don't give the tools out and sit down, we monitor. We monitor and make sure the masters do the right thing and make sure they also stay. Because of this, their parents will have to sign that they are committed to making sure that their wards come in to train anytime they are called upon. Some of them, maybe just because of transportation, the person will not be able to get to the work site. So that is where their wards have to sign to make sure that they take care of those basic things, because we are paying the masters for the fee. We are paying them. So the duty of their parents is to make sure that their shelter, feeding, everything is taken care of. So they'll have peace of mind to do this work.
He also spoke about the benefits that Snappy Abba Savings and Loans will derive from the program.
And we say that creating wealth, touching lives. A lot of them that are seated now, they are not doing anything. Now, equipping them to acquire these skills, definitely when they finish, they have been employed. And they are also going to get other people to learn the job, meaning they are going to create employment. And once employment is created, definitely there's going to be an income, and Snappy will eventually benefit from it.
Some of the beneficiaries expressed joy over their inclusion in the program and lauded Snappy Abba Savings and Loans for the initiative.
Life was so tough to me because I'm not working. I'm always gallivanting around. Because of this opportunity, I'm busy at my work. I would like to say thank you for them helping me. And I would like to say may God bless Snappy Abba.
I think it's going to help me a lot. I will be mastered in my own, and I will make sure I'm going to help some people, and I know that I will go further education and make it so easy for me, and maybe any work I need can go to it, and to be easy for me to do that.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
And that's it for this segment. Aisha returns after this break.
Bulletin this morning on Joy News Desk. My name is Aisha Prime. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.